On Daf 76 of Pesachim, we have a debate that actually has very big implications for Shabbat observance. And it's the rule that we refer to now as Tata Gavar, which means the bottom rules. If you got a mixture of two things, it's the bottom one that determines. I'll explain what that means in a second. But this is something that I learned in getting smicha in Shabbat, learning the laws of Shabbat. It's a very clear principle. But in the Gemara, in this daf, we see that it's actually debated, that a couple thousand years ago, it wasn't certain that this law, that which of the two overpowered the other and which one is more relevant. So let me explain now. What is Tata Gavar? What is this law? So Tata Gavar is saying that the bottom, again, is the more important. So what does that mean exactly? So let me give an example. So I like to drink warm water. I like the warming up in the morning with not like a steaming hot beverage, but something that's not cold either, not something that's tap water. In the winter, so I'll often make myself something that's warm but not burning. So what do you do on Shabbat? On Shabbat, we've got our little kumkum, our little kettle sitting on the plata, keeping warm during Shabbat, but it is very, very hot. So I could pour water into a cup and kind of wait for it to cool down. But usually I'm moving pretty fast on Shabbat morning because I wake up as late as possible and try to drink something and get going. So there's a way of mixing the two. Had I put the hot water into a cup and then added a little bit of cold water to cool it down, that would have been considering cooking on Shabbat. The little bit of cold water, as I added the cold water, that first layer of cold water would have cooked, would have been heated up too hot by the whole cup of hot water, and the more cold water would have come in, and the more cold water, and eventually it would have come down to a temperature that was like acceptable, that was considered to be not cooking, but the water going into little by little up to that point would have been considered cooking. But if I reverse it, it's considered to be permissible. So if I was to take a cup, half of cold water and add a little bit of warm water in it to warm it up, we don't consider the top level of the cold water being cooked by the warm water that's coming in. We consider the warm water to be diffused immediately as it's hitting and becoming cold basically immediately. So if I was to warm that cold water up above what we call Yad Seledet Bo, the kind of the level where it would actually like burn your hand, about 114 degrees Fahrenheit, around there, that would have been cooking the cold water. There's only so much I can do it. But as long as I don't let the temperature get above that, I can add a little bit of warm water to my cold water to make it into a pleasant temperature. Remember, that's what it means by Tata Gavar. It's the bottom one that determines it. If the cold water is on the bottom, I can add warm water and I'm okay and I'm not cooking because I can put the warm into the cold. But if the hot is on the bottom and I put a little cold into that, well, the hot now determines it, and the cold that I add is considered to be cooked immediately.